So I had this idea earlier. I was answering a question on Quora about whether you should ever reevaluate or adjust your goals. And I thought about it, and it made me realize that in my life, and I think in everybody's life who is a goal setting, achievement based person, which you should all be, in my life, what I have is what I'm calling the Cornerstone Goal, or I mean the Keystone Goal. This is the overarching goal of my life. So everything I do in my life should be pushing towards that goal. And for me, I've realized that that goal is happiness and security. Now that means, financial security, physical security, emotional security. So what it is every goal beneath my keystone goal needs to support it, right? So any goal I make needs to either be directing toward my happiness or my security. Everything I do. Now, I don't always follow that, right? I mean, sometimes, I get sidetracked and I'm doing things that don't do either of those. But that's where evaluating comes in, adjusting goals, making changes to them, possibly ditching a goal altogether, which I do. I've talked about this before. Sometimes I realize I don't want something after I'm already working toward it. And this is okay. Like, just because you set a goal doesn't mean you have to stick with that goal forever. Sometimes, life happens and changes things, and your opinions on things can change, and how you want to approach things changes. But what I've realized is if everybody can figure out what their keystone goal is, then you can make sure that every goal you make after that is going to help lead you toward that keystone. Now, I think my keystone is a pretty wide thing, and I think it's something it's probably most people's same goal, So I mean, it seems pretty simple to me. So that's where adjustment comes in, because sometimes you might realize, well, this doesn't make me happy anymore. You might start doing something, and then when you get into it, you realize, like, I don't really like doing this. So it's fine. Like, you need to ditch the goal. That's fine. The other thing is sometimes it does nothing for security. So, maybe I'm doing something and I might be enjoying it, but it's really just pointless. Now, the thing is, you can do things for security. I can do things for security or for happiness, and they don't have to do both, but it's got to be pointing toward one. And I have to balance those things, because I can't only be aiming for happiness and neglect the security of my future and my children's future, So I have to be thinking about those things. The other thing is not just ditching goals, but adjusting goals, adjusting process, adjusting how you're going to achieve things. Sometimes you have to do that. A good example with that is you may say, like, if you set a goal and you're like, I'm going to, sell 1 million of whatever it is that I'm making in 6 months. And then, you're 2 months in and you've had 100 sales. Well, maybe you need to adjust either, the number you're trying to reach, or maybe you need to adjust the timeline, because if the process can't keep up to the goal, then maybe you need to make some adjustments. And that doesn't mean don't be ambitious, but it does mean, try to get a little realistic with things. Ambitious yet realistic. And realistic can be over the top sometimes, but that's okay. You want to aim high. But I just thought it was an interesting idea, and thought I should share that with you guys. That this idea of having your keystone goal, the overarching goal of everything in your life, that everything else has to support. That way that everything you're doing in your life, when you check in on it and try to evaluate it a little bit, everything you do is moving you toward one thing. And I mean, that's about doing something great with your life. Whatever it is to you that means that much. Do something great. And that's how you're going to do it. Have that central theme to everything, and everything moves you toward it. So, I don't know, I'm just a little excited about that. I like how I phrased it with the keystone. So I thought I'd share that. And think about that. And if you got any feedback on this, please let me know. And if you have somebody you think needs to see this, please share it with them. I always appreciate that. I always like to talk to people and see where they are. And if they have questions about anything I'm talking about, I will expand on it as much as you want. So thank you for taking the 5 minutes this morning to watch this. Love you guys.